Russia hasn't invaded Finland since 1944, not because they don't want to, but because they are not sure if they can win. Finland has 5.6 million people. Russia has 144 million. Finland's defense budget is $9 billion. Russia spends $128 billion. Every war game simulation says Russia wins in 72 hours. By the end of this video, you'll understand how Finland turned terrain, reserves, and winter into a weapon Russia can't counter. Hit that subscribe button, and let's start with the problem. Finland shares an 830-mile border with Russia. That's longer than the entire US-Mexico border from San Diego to Brownsville. Finland has 24,000 active-duty soldiers. Russia has 1.32 million. You cannot defend 830 miles with 24,000 troops. The math simply doesn't work. You'd need one soldier every 200 feet, standing 24/7 forever. And of course, it gets worse. Finland is 70% forest and lakes. Thousands of square miles of pine trees, swamps, and granite bedrock. You can't build tank traps across an entire country. You can't fortify every village. You can't patrol every logging road. So Finland looked at this impossible situation and asked a different question. What if we don't try to stop an invasion? What if we just make it unsustainable? November 30th, 1939. The Soviet Union invades Finland with 760,000 troops. Finland has 337,000 soldiers. Most are reservists, farmers with rifles. Stalin expects Helsinki to surrender in 2 weeks. The war lasts 105 days. The Soviets lose between 126,875 and 167,000 soldiers. Some estimates go higher. Finland loses 25,904. That's a 5-to-1 kill ratio against a superpower. How? Finnish soldiers on skis, white winter camouflage. They appear out of nowhere, hit Soviet columns, and vanish into the forest. The Soviets can't pursue. Their tanks get stuck in snow. Their supply convoys freeze on the roads. The most famous example is, of course, the Battle of Raat Road. December 1939. A Soviet division of 14,000 men gets surrounded by 4,000 Finns in the forest. The Finns cut the Soviet column into smaller pieces, attack at night, melt back into the trees. By January, the entire Soviet division is destroyed. Finland technically loses the Winter War. They cede 9% of their territory in the peace treaty. But the Soviet Union suffers 300,000 total casualties trying to conquer a country 1/30th their size. Stalin wanted Finland annexed in 2 weeks. He got a frozen meat grinder that humiliated the Red Army and convinced Hitler the Soviets were weak. Finland learned something from this war. You don't need to win. You just need to make the cost unbearable. After World War II, Finland is stuck between NATO and the Soviet Union. They can't join NATO. The Soviets would invade immediately. They can't rely on Soviet protection. That's surrender with extra steps. So Finland invents something called total defense. Not a military strategy, a national operating system. Let me show you how it works. Every Finnish man serves 165 to 347 days of mandatory military service. No exceptions. They're not training to be professional soldiers. They're training to fight in their own backyard. Finland has 280,000 trained reservists. Another 600,000 with some military training. That's like 880,000 people who know how to operate anti-tank weapons, set ambushes, and navigate forests in winter. For a country of 5.6 million, that's 16% of the entire population. The United States, by comparison, has 1.3 million active-duty troops. That's 0.4% of the population. But Finland doesn't keep those 280,000 reservists in barracks. They go home, work normal jobs, live normal lives, until the moment they're mobilized. Then every teacher, engineer, factory worker, and farmer becomes a soldier who already knows the terrain, because it's their terrain. It's genius, really. Let me show you how this actually works. Finland is divided into 12 military regions. Every region has its own command structure, supply depots, and communication networks. If Russia bombs Helsinki, the other 11 regions keep fighting. If they destroy one command center, 10 others operate independently. This is the opposite of centralized military doctrine. Most countries concentrate forces for decisive battles. Finland disperses forces to deny decisive battles. Now, about the terrain, Finland has 188,000 lakes. Yes, 188,000, and 75% forest coverage. Armored columns can't move cross-country. They're stuck on roads. And Finland has spent 80 years preparing to turn every road into a kill zone. The Finns pre-position explosives on bridges, not during wartime. Right now. If Russia invades, Finnish engineers blow every bridge across every river in the southern provinces. Suddenly, Russian tank divisions are stuck on one side of a lake with no way across. They have to detour, expose their flanks, bunch up on narrow roads, where Finnish anti-tank teams are waiting. Finland operates Swedish-made NLAW and American Javelin anti-tank missiles. These are fire-and-forget weapons. A two-person team can destroy a $4 million tank and disappear into the forest in under 60 seconds. Russia can't retaliate. They can't see the team that fired. And the team is already 2 miles away, moving through terrain Russian forces can't navigate. Finland has 64 F/A-18 Hornet fighter jets. Deliveries start in 2026, with the full fleet of 64 F-35s arriving through the early 2030s. This jet is a fifth-generation stealth multi-role fighter. It costs $80 million per unit. Finland is spending $10 billion on this fleet. For a small country, that's an insane investment. But it matters. Russia would need air superiority to invade Finland successfully. They'd have to destroy Finnish air bases, radar installations, and command centers in the opening hours of the war. But Finland operates highway strips. These are sections of public highway built wide and flat enough to land fighter jets. If Russia bombs the air bases, Finnish F-35s land on highways, refuel from mobile units, and take off again. You can't destroy an air force that doesn't need air bases. Finland also has the largest artillery force in Western Europe. 700 howitzers. 700. South Korea manufactures the K9 Thunder self-propelled howitzer. Finland bought 48 of them. These systems fire 155mm shells up to 25 miles, 6 rounds per minute. The whole point isn't to win artillery duels, it's to make Russian convoys pay in blood for every mile they advance. Honestly, Finland doesn't need to defeat Russia. They need to survive until someone else intervenes. The Winter War lasted 105 days because the Soviet Union couldn't afford the casualties and international condemnation. A modern war would follow the same logic. Finland is in the European Union. An attack on Finland triggers EU mutual defense clauses. Finland just joined NATO in April 2023. Article 5 means an attack on Finland is an attack on all 31 NATO members. Russia knows this. So Finland's defense strategy isn't hold the border. Oh no, it's bleed Russia for weeks until NATO mobilizes. Every day Finland survives is another day for NATO air bases in Poland and Germany to prepare strikes. Every Russian casualty is another data point for European parliaments debating intervention. Finland is buying time with terrain, reserves, and decentralized command. And time is the one thing Russia can't afford in a modern war. Analysts love to compare military sizes. Russia has 12,000 tanks. Finland has 200. Obviously, Finland loses. But wait, warfare doesn't work like that anymore. Ukraine has destroyed over 3,000 Russian tanks since February 2022, not with their own tank fleet. With Javelin missiles, Turkish Bayraktar drones, and HIMARS rocket systems. Finland operates all three. The myth is that tank numbers matter. The reality is that modern anti-tank weapons have made armored warfare suicidal in certain terrain, and Finland is entirely that terrain. Another myth. Russia would use nuclear weapons. Tactical nukes solve nothing in Finland. You can't nuke a forest and call it a victory. Come on. Fallout spreads into Russia. Finland is 300 miles from St. Petersburg. The political cost is insane. NATO would respond. China would condemn it. Russia literally gains nothing from nuking a country they claim is their historical neighbor. The third myth: Finland is alone. Finland shares intelligence with NATO, trains with NATO, purchases NATO-compatible weapon systems. If Russia invades, Finnish forces aren't improvising. They're executing a plan they've rehearsed with the US, UK, and Sweden for 30 years. I'm not saying Finland is being special. My point is, Finland has accepted reality and designed around it. Small population, train everyone. Long border, decentralized command. Harsh terrain, make it harsher. No allies, make occupation so expensive that allies have time to arrive. Finland looked at the problem and rejected every conventional solution. They can't outspend Russia, so they don't try. They can't win a war of maneuver, so they don't fight one. They can't stop an invasion, so they make the invasion pointless. Occupation requires controlling territory. You can't control 188,000 lakes and 75% forest with a demoralized army taking casualties from invisible enemies every single day. Ukraine is currently teaching Russia this lesson. Afghanistan taught the Soviet Union this lesson in the 1980s. Vietnam taught the United States this lesson in the 1970s. Finland learned it in 1939, and they built an entire country around it. Russia will never occupy Finland without losing so many troops, tanks, and aircraft that their entire military collapses. That's not a prediction. That's math. So, if Finland can make itself unconquerable with 280,000 reservists and some snow, what does that say about every other military spending billions on aircraft carriers? If you enjoyed this breakdown of how constraints force innovation, you need to watch our analysis of why Iran built a military designed to survive defeat. Because Iran looked at the same problem and came up with an even crazier solution. Click right here to watch that next. Thank you for watching Nations in Minutes.